Y'all are not going to believe what is in this box. I can hardly believe it myself. So y'all would probably guess it's not what the box says it is. I mean, that would be cool too, but not quite as exciting as what's actually in this box. This is something that I have been wanting for years. I've gotten a line or two on one every now and then, but just didn't quite work out. But everything came together this time. It's another chainsaw. It says 77.
Half an and a half an.
77. But this is not just any chainsaw. This is something that I have been looking for years. This is a 77. And you might be thinking, well, that's pretty cool, but how does it differ from those other orange saws that look exactly like it? Like this one, or this one, or this one, or this one. Well, this one is a whole lot stronger and therefore a whole lot cooler. Let's take a look at it. So let's look at these two saws kind of side by side, and this one is basically a part saw. This is a Husqvarna L65. This is a Husqvarna L77 right here, and my knowledge is really not perfect on both of these saws, but it's my understanding that really the primary difference is the cylinder and the piston in this saw right here. You can see they're pretty well identical saws. Inner workings are going to be pretty much identical. Outside looks identical. Lots of parts are interchangeable. The biggest difference is you've got 12 extra cc's of power over here in this 77 as compared to this 65. And it has been my experience that these are a whole lot more difficult to come by. I've been looking for one of these for years, and I finally just found one. So I'm very, very grateful to have it. So I don't have the bar for it yet. I've got a bar on the way. So what we're going to do is rob a bar off of one of the 65s and put it on here and see if it works. Actually, the first thing that I'd like to do is rob one of the dogs off of those part saws and replace this one. This, I don't think that's an original Husqvarna dog. That thing is very flimsy, and you can see it's bent. And right here, it's not in good shape. Looks pretty bad. So we're going to get a dog off of one of the other saws and see if we can replace this part here. So I want to show y'all real quick what's going on here, and this is nothing that I didn't expect. The guy that sold it to me was really upfront about this. It looks like this thing took a pretty nasty fall or some kind of a hit at some point during its lifetime, and somebody made a repair on it. It's actually a pretty good repair. If you see right here, somebody took a metal plate and bolted it to this housing right here, and then had to weld the handle to that metal plate. So it's actually a pretty decent repair. This is one of the part saw 65s. This is what it's supposed to look like right here. And this is what the 77 looks like. Not a big deal. I kind of have the thought of go ahead and replacing this housing from another 65, but it looks like it's really going to be an act of Congress, so I'm not going to do that. So this is the dog that I just took off of this saw. It's got a pretty bad bend in it, and it's actually better quality than I thought it was. I'm sure it's not the original. It looks way too good, but it's just got this bend in it. Otherwise, it's okay. I am going to try to hammer this out, and if it doesn't crack or break, I'll use it. So it's tough to tell, and the crack is so small, but I think it developed an itty bitty hairline fracture in it. It's not that bad, and if I put all my strength into it, I can't break it. So what I'm going to do is bolt it onto the saw. That bolting on will give it some extra stability, and if it breaks down the road, I'll replace it. So I took the dog back off. At some point during this thing's life, it took a pretty serious hit, some kind of a spill. I don't really know what happened, but this right here is bent in just a little bit. So not only was the dog bent, this housing is bent also, and this is cast aluminum, so there's no bending it back. And I can see a little hairline fracture right there. So since this is bent, it's throwing off the dog still, even though the dog is straightened out, it's still being thrown off. So I'm going to file down some of this just to see if I can get a better foundation, a better a flatter spot for that dog to rest on to see if it'll straighten out some. So between the file and the hammer and the vice grips, I managed to get this pretty well straight on the saw, so that's passable. Now I want to work on the shock absorber on this this handle. So as near as I can tell from the outside, this shock absorber actually has duct tape inside of it instead of a actual piece of rubber. So we're gonna see about that and see if we can fix it. Don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of duct tape, but the proper thing to use here is Gorilla Tape. So what I'll do is replace this with a couple of pieces of 1/4-inch fuel line that I just split in half and wrap it around there, and we'll put another piece on the front side to cover it too, and that should do it. All right, let's try that again with the muffler out of the way. My dad used to be in the small engine repair business, and I think that's where I probably got my love for these old saws. And he gave me a whole bunch of his 65 parts, and I need a muffler gasket, but doesn't look like. Oh, there we go. Whole bunch of them. So that wasn't actually quite the right gasket, so I reamed out those holes just a little bit, and I think it's going to work just fine. So guys, I'll have to say I'm real impressed with it. We're almost done with this video, but I think what I'll do is maybe set a timer if I can get a timer to work on the screen. What we'll do is cut a few discs off and maybe see how many discs I can cut out in 30 seconds or so. The log is 16 inches wide right here, and I cut this log a little bit longer so that we can get a few discs out of this. So we got a good sharp chain, so expecting it to cut pretty good. Let's see what'll happen. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. I really appreciate y'all watching this video. We managed to get 3 discs in. It was actually more like 2.5 discs. One of them went kind of wonky. But we got 3 discs in 45 seconds. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's how it did. It is a really strong saw. I am happy with the purchase. The guy that sold it to me put a carburetor kit in it and obviously tuned it really, really well. I didn't touch the carburetor when I was messing around with it, and it is tuned really, really well. It's running really nice. These saws were introduced in 1974, and I don't know when they were discontinued, and I don't know what year model, what particular year model this one is. It's undoubtedly an early one because it doesn't have a chain brake on it, so that makes me kind of guess that it's one of the earlier ones, which is pretty cool. It has a 20-inch bar on it, this one does, and I weighed it, and with this 20-inch bar and full of gas and oil, it weighs about 20 pounds, and I'm actually going to put a 24-inch bar on it, which will make it a little bit heavier, but I like the extra reach when I'm sawing stuff. It's pretty nice to have that extra 4 inches of reach there. Those logs that we cut down, or that tree that we cut down and cut into those 2 logs, they're just over 21 feet long. Those are the logs that we're going to cut into 2x12s for the sawmill shed expansion project. I'm not able to cut those logs myself because my mill is just not long enough, but I've got a local guy who's going to come over here in a few days and set up his LT40 wood miser, and he is going to cut them for me. So in a few days we're going to get the rest of that tree out of the woods. I say out of the woods, it's right beside the shop here. It's not too far away. We're going to get that other log out, get them all stacked, cut a few more trees down, and get those sawed up, and I'll try to share that with y'all as well. But anyway, good purchase. Glad that I'm able to add this to my collection, and I appreciate y'all watching this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one.
Grover chainsaw.
It's a what chainsaw?
Grover chainsaw.
A Grover chainsaw? Does Grover have this chainsaw?
No.
What do you think about it?
I don't know. There's letters on it.
There are. Well, those are numbers.
There are.
And those are letters. What number is that?
D.
Oh, it's a 7.
Heaven.
It says 77.
Heaven and a heaven.
77. What color is it?
Orange and black.
Orange and black. Very good.